And now we turn to Lviv, Ukraine, where Military Times correspondent Katie Livingstone is right now. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Daniel. It's good to be here.
You're in Lviv in Western Ukraine. What are you seeing?
Yes, Lviv is the westernmost cultural capital, you could say. It's the biggest city in the West, quite close to the border, about less than 100 miles, almost 50 miles. And it's quite calm compared to most, to the east, to the cities in the east, and especially to the capital. There's been no bombing directly in the city, although installations in the area have been bombarded in the past days. It has become a refugee hub, a transit center almost, because it is so close to the Polish border. Possibly hundreds of thousands of people have passed through the city and possibly are still here. They're not releasing specific numbers about how many people are here coming through, or even really how many people they are prepared for. But all signs point to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people.
Of refugees. And for our viewers, today is Wednesday. We air on Saturdays on our TV show. Are you seeing any movement, whether that indicates that Russians might get more involved in Lviv or not? Or to the contrary?
Yes, I've been here over a week. I got here just before the invasion began. And I can tell you, in the first couple of days, I think the entire country was frozen in shock. Those people that had to immediately respond and go to the bomb shelters did that, obviously. But here in the West, it took a little while longer, I think, to sort of realize that this was really happening. By I'd say the third day after the invasion, however, things changed. The energy changed. People really kicked into gear, and you could tell, people understood that, okay, we're at war now, let's go. And since then, there's been an incredible flurry of movement on all sides. Everybody you meet on the street is either a refugee coming from the east, a volunteer working with the refugees, or working with the troops.
And you have spent some time with the military in Lviv. Tell us about that experience.
They are incredibly determined to not only keep their country, to maintain their sovereignty, but to get every Russian troop off of all Ukrainian land. This is meaningful because the Russian troops actually invaded originally in 2014 in Crimea and the Donbass. And now when I talk to people, especially seasoned veteran troops that are heading to the front lines, they say that this will be the last time. One way or another, the Russian troops are going to leave, or I'm going to die fighting. But this is it. So there's an incredible amount of determination to finish this once and for all, and I think a tiredness of how long this has gone on. One of my favorite questions to ask the troops has been if they're afraid, and I ask that knowing what the answer is going to be, and enjoying it because I always get a really hearty laugh. Big smile crosses their face, huge hearty laugh. The last Army major, I believe, I spoke with, when I asked him that question, he looked at me in the eyes and he said, I haven't been afraid since 2014. And I get that sense from the troops I speak to.
Do they have the equipment they need, the supplies they need?
I ask these troops those questions. Of course, no one is sharing, much detail naturally. But especially when I ask if they have any thoughts or words they want to share with the United States, with America, all of them have started that conversation by saying, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the javelins. Thank you for the money. Even, sort of specific weapons that we've sent, they're very, very appreciative for. But usually that is followed up by a request for more, saying, look, we are doing the best we can. And right now we're holding them off, but we cannot do that forever. They're completely outnumbered and outmanned, and they need more.
Helping out this time in numbers, at least in the east, is the civilian population. Is that something you're seeing in Lviv?
Oh, absolutely. The civilian population has mobilized in an incredible way. I've been with a few different volunteer groups. People of all ages, men, women, and children are there doing whatever they can. Yesterday, I visited a library in downtown Lviv that had been turned into a sort of command center. They had strung up netting throughout the library and actually in the square in front of it so that they could get more space. And dozens of people, if not hundreds, were there braiding strips of cloth into the netting to make camouflage for the troops. So you see this sort of, creative, hands-on, let's go do whatever we can attitude everywhere.
So you've talked to civilians all over town. You talked to the military. Is anybody asking for more support?
Absolutely. One of the questions I always ask people is, how do you feel about the international response to what's happening? Is it enough? And almost always the first answer is thank you, thank you very specifically to this country for this thing and etc. But it's followed up by a request for more, a very honest appraisal of the situation, which is that they're doing the best they can. And it is impressive, let me say, the mobilization of everybody, the generosity in the community, but they will not be able to hold it up forever against a global superpower. And they understand that as well. And speaking to these troops, every single one of them has expressed that they will die before they allow Russia to occupy the country. And we don't want it to get to that point.
Well, Katie, thank you for taking time for us today, and please stay safe.
Thank you, Daniel. Hope to talk again soon.